Shila Gurudev ki jai. Nitya Pavishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Mahārāja ki jai. Nitya Pavishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Mahārāja Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Pavishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Mahārāja ki jai. Nitya Pavishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Mahā-Bhagavat Śrīla Gokṣaras Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai. Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Shri Rupa Nugauriya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhattadas Raghunath Sharda Gosai Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākura ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnana. Oh, sorry. Oh God, something weird happened with my Windows. Okay, sorry about that. Śrīla Narottama Das Ṭhākura ki jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayanitti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Etadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tara Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yang pravrajantamanupeta krityang dvaipayano virahaka tara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo bhinedus tang sarva bhutta hridayang munimanatosmi narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottama devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudhirayet. Shrinvatang Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashta Prayeshvabhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Najivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvang Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Kshiptashtakama Ditaranga Madhe Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right. Let me see all who's there. Hare Krishna, Gargarajji, Dandavat Pranam, Indira, Raseshwari Mataji, Ganga Mataji, Madhavi Didi. Indira Mataji will listen later on. Dandavat Pranam to all of you. All right, so let's see. We're going to try to get through a lot today because I'm going to try to finish our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam reading and read about Srila Narottam Das Ṭhākura. So hopefully we can get it done timely. I don't know how long it will take. Okay. Let me make this big. Fulfiller of the devotee's desires. Oh, let me just make sure I have the sounds. Haribo Madhavi Didi, Dandavat Pranam. Oh, I already saw you. Yeah, okay. Fulfiller of devotees' desires. Having heard the sages glorify Krishna at Kurukshetra, Vasudeva started developing reverence towards Krishna and Balaram, instead of treating them as his sons. Vasudeva glorified his sons and even fell at Krishna's lotus feet, begging him to drive away the conception that the Lord was his son. But Krishna restored that conception in Vasudeva instead, and pacified him. He restored the conception that he is his father's son. Mother Devaki then praised Krishna and Balaram and requested them to revive her 6 sons. Oh wait, we didn't read this yet. Sorry about that. I don't remember this all. Okay. Okay, so Draupadi, she met the, after the lunar eclipse, all the rites they performed during the lunar eclipse. Then Draupadi met the queens of Krishna and asked them how each of them got married to Krishna. The 8 principal queens, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Kalindi, Mitravinda, Satya, Bhadra, and Lakshmana, gratefully narrated how the Lord Krishna had accepted them as his maidservants. Rohini Devi, representing all the 16,100 queens whom Krishna had married after killing Narakasura, expressed their desire to follow in the footsteps of the Vrajagopis in their service to Lord Krishna. Then great sages like Narad and Vyasadeva arrived there, desiring to see Lord Krishna. Krishna then glorified the purifying potency of great sages. The learned sages then glorified Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, playing the part of an ideal human being by worshipping the Brahmanas. Vasudeva then had the sages perform some Vedic sacrifices and offered them charity. But before that, where did we leave off? Before that, okay, we read up to verse 41, okay. After the sages made their prayers to Krishna, then Vasudeva said, "Obeisances to you, the residents of all the demigods. Please hear me, O sages. Kindly tell us how the reactions of one's work can be counteracted by further work." Then Sri Narad Muni said, "O Brahmanas, it is not so amazing that in his eagerness to know, Vasudeva has asked about he's asked us about his ultimate benefit, for he considers Krishna a mere boy. In this world, familiarity breeds contempt. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganges might travel to some other body of water to be purified. The Supreme Lord's awareness is never disturbed by time, the creation and destruction of the universe, by changes in its own qualities, or by anything else, whether self-caused or external. But although the consciousness of the personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme One without a second, is never affected by material distress, by the reactions of material work, or by the constant flow of nature's modes, ordinary persons nonetheless think that the Lord is covered by his own creations of pran and other material elements, just as one may think that the sun is covered by clouds, snow, or an eclipse. Wow, that was all one sentence. Shukadeva Goswami continued. The sages then spoke again, O king, addressing Vasudeva, while all the kings, along with Lord Achyuta and Lord Ram, listened. The sages said, it has been definitely concluded that work is counteracted by further work when one executes Vedic sacrifices as a means of worshipping Vishnu, the Lord of all sacrifices, with sincere faith. Learned authorities who see through the eye of Scripture have demonstrated that this is the easiest method of subduing the agitated mind and attaining liberation, and that it is a sacred duty which brings joy to the heart. This is the most auspicious path for a religious holder of the twice-born orders, to selflessly worship the personality of Godhead with wealth honestly. An intelligent person should learn to renounce his desire for wealth by performing sacrifices and acts of charity. He should learn to renounce his desire for wife and children by experiencing family life. And he should learn to renounce his desire for promotion to a higher planet in his next life, O saintly Vasudeva, by studying the effects of time. Self-controlled sages who have thus renounced their attachment to householder life go to the forest to perform austerities. Dear Prabhu, a member of the twice-born classes is born with three kinds of debts, those owed to the demigods, to the sages, and to his forefathers. If he leaves his body without liquidating these debts by performing sacrifice, studying the scriptures, and begetting children, he will fall down into a hellish condition. But you, O magnanimous soul, are already free from two of your debts, those to the sages and the forefathers. Now absolve yourself of your debt to the demigods by executing Vedic sacrifices, and in this way free yourself completely of debt and renounce all material shelter. Okay, so that's where we read up to yesterday. Vasudevanunam bhaktya paramaya harim jagatam ishvaram prarcha sayadvam putratam gata. O Vasudeva, without doubt, you must have previously worshipped Lord Hari, the master of all worlds. Both you and your wife must have perfectly worshipped him with supreme devotion, since he has accepted the role of your son. Sārārtha-darśinī commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura. The mood of the sages in this verse is as follows. You have asked a question posing as an ordinary person, and we have answered according to ordinary scriptural rules. Actually, since you are the eternally liberated Father of the Supreme Lord, the customs nor the injunctions of Scripture have any authority over you. But if you think that you are only qualified for following the rules of Scripture, then listen to what we have said. The sages said, O Vasudeva, you are resplendent with the topmost wealth of pure devotion. Previously intensely worshipped Krishna with the most excellent devotion. Therefore, why should you now fall to a lower standard of action? If it is not so, then our words mean nothing. The proof is that Krishna himself has appeared as your son. Nevertheless, if out of humility you think of yourself as a fallen soul and thus want to execute rituals, then do so just to teach the people in general, just as the Lord himself does. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti tar vachanam shrutva Vasudeva Mahamana Tan Rishin ritvijo vave murdhnyam namya prasadya cha. Shukadeva Goswami said, after hearing these statements of the sages, generous Vasudeva bowed his head to the ground and, praising them, requested them to become his priests. Ta enam rishayo rajan vritta dharmena dharmikam tasmin ayajayan kshetre makar uttama kalpakai. Thus requested by him, O king, the sages engaged the pious Vasudeva in performing fire sacrifices at that holy place of Kurukshetra according to strict religious principles and with most excellent ritual arrangements. Tadikshayam pravritayam vrishnaya pushkara sraja snata tu vasaso rajan rajana sushtvalankrita tan mahishyascha mudita nishka kantya suvasasa diksha shalam upajagmur alipta vastupanaya. When Mahārāja Vasudeva was about to be initiated for the sacrifice, O king, the Vrishnis came to the initiation pavilion after bathing and putting on fine clothes and garlands of lotuses. The other kings also came, elaborately ornamented, as well as all their joyful queens, who wore jeweled lockets around their necks and were also clad in fine garments. The royal wives were anointed with sandalwood paste and carried auspicious items for the worship. Commentary. Carrying various auspicious items in their hands, the queens entered the arena. Nedur mridanga pataha shankara bhairanak anakadaya nandritur natanartakyas tushtuvu sutamagadha jaghu sakantyo gandharvya sangitam sahabhatrika. Mridangas, patahas, kanchalis, anakas, and other instruments resounded. Male and female dancers danced, and sutas and maghadas recited glorifications. Sweet-voiced Gandharvis sang, accompanied by their husbands. Tam abhyashincham vedivar aktam abhyaktam ritvija patnibhir ashtadashabhi somarajam ivodubhi. After Vasudeva's eyes had been decorated with black cosmetic and his body smeared with fresh butter, the priests initiated him according to script by sprinkling him and his 18 wives, with sacred water. Encircled by his wives, he resembled the regal moon encircled by stars. Commentary. With his eyes anointed with mascara and his body smeared with newly churned butter, Vasudeva, along with his 18 wives, appeared like the king of moons, encircled by the stars. Tabirdu kulavalayar haranu purakundalai svalankrita bhirvi bhabho dikshito jina samvrita. Vasudeva received initiation along with his wives, who wore silk saris and were adorned with bangles, necklaces, ankle bells, and earrings. With his body wrapped in a deerskin, Vasudeva shone splendidly. Tasyartvijo Mahārāja ratnako sheyavasasa sasadasya vire juste yata vritra hanodvare. My dear Mahārāja Parikshit, Vasudeva's priests and the officiating members of the assembly, dressed in silk dhotis and jeweled ornaments, looked so effulgent that they seemed to be standing in the sacrificial arena of Indra, the killer of Vritra. Tada Ramascha Krishnascha Svaisvar bandhubhiranvito Rejatu swasutar darar jivesho swavibhutibhi. At that time, Balaram and Krishna, the lords of all living entities, shone forth with great majesty in the company of their respective sons, wives, and other family members, who were expansions of their opulences. Commentary. Krishna and Balaram, the lords of all living entities, appeared. Ijenu yagyam vidhina agnihotradi lakshanai prakritar vaikritar yagyar dravya jnana kriyeshvaram. Performing various kinds of Vedic sacrifice according to the proper regulations, Vasudeva worshipped the Lord of all sacrificial paraphernalia, mantras, and rituals. He executed both primary and secondary sacrifices, offering oblations to the sacred fire and carrying out other aspects of sacrificial worship. Commentary. Vasudeva worshipped Vishnu, the Lord of all sacrificial paraphernalia, mantras, and rituals, by primary sacrifices such as Jyotishtoma and Darsha Purnamasa, which are prescribed in detail and revealed scriptures, and by secondary sacrifices, such as the Surya and which are modified in form and rule. The word dravyam refers to the sacrificial rice cakes, which are offered when soma is not offered. Arthartvigpyo dadat kale yatam natam sadakshina salankritebhyo lankritya gobhu kanya mahadhana. Then, at the appropriate time and according to scripture, Vasudeva remunerated the priests by decorating them with precious ornaments, though they were already richly adorned, and offering them valuable gifts of cows, land, and marriageable girls. Commentary. Vasudeva gave donations in the form of gold, jewels, cows, land, and virgin girls. Patni samyajava british charitvate maharshaya sasnurama hrade vipra yajamana purasara. After supervising the Patni Samyaja and Avabrita rituals, the great Brahman sages bathed Lord Parshuram's lake with the sponsor of the sacrifice, Vasudeva. They bathed in Lord Parshuram's lake with the sponsor, Vasudeva, who led them. Commentary. The Patni Samyaja is a ritual in which the sponsor of the sacrifice offers oblations together with his wife. The Brahmanas also supervise the final rituals known as Avabhritya. Snato lankaravasangsi vandibhyo dat tata striya tata svalankrito varnan ashvabhyo nena pujayat. His sacred bath complete, Vasudeva joined with his wives in giving the jewelry and clothes they had been wearing to the professional reciters. Vasudeva then put on new garments, after which he honored all classes of people by feeding everyone, even the dogs. Commentary. Having bathed, Vasudeva, along with his wife, gave cloth and ornaments to the reciters and fed everyone, down to the horses and dogs. Bandhunsa daransa sutan paribarhena bhuyasa vidarbha koshala kurun Kashike Kayasrinjayan Sadasyartvik Suraganan Nribhuta Pitricharanan Sriniketam Anugyapya Shangsanta Prayayukratum. With opulent gifts, he honored his relatives, including all their wives and children, the royalty of the Vidarbha, Kosala, Kuru, Kashi, Kekaya, and Srinjaya kingdoms, to the officiating members of the assembly, and also the priests witnessing demigods, human spirits, forefathers, and charanas. Then, taking permission from Lord Krishna, the shelter of the goddess of fortune, the various guests departed as they all chanted the glories of Vasudeva's sacrifice. Commentary. Vasudeva worshipped everyone from his relatives to the charanas, a class of minor demigods, with gifts as tokens of his affection, and then they all departed. We just made it to 90% through Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We only have 10% of the 10th canto left. Dhritarashtra nuja partha Bhishma drona pritayamo Narado bhagavan vyasan Suhrit sambandhi bandhava Bandhun parishvajaryadun Sahridaklina chetasa Yayur viraha krechrena Swadeshangscha parejana. The Yadus were all embraced by their friends, close family members, and other relatives, including Dhritarashtra and his younger brother Vidura, Pritha and her sons, Bhishma, Drona, the twins Nakula and Sahadev, Narad, and Vedvyas, the personality of Godhead. So they embraced all those close family members. Their hearts melting with affection, these and other guests left for their kingdoms, their progress slowed by the pain of separation. Commentary. Anuja refers to Dhritarashtra's younger brother Vidura. Nandastu sahagopar brihatya pujayarchita Krishna Ramo grasenadyar Nyavatsid Bandhuvatsala. Nanda Mahārāja showed his affection for his relatives, the Yadus, by remaining with them a little longer, together with his cowherds. During his stay, Krishna, Balaram, Ugrasen, and the others honored him with especially opulent worship. Commentary. The word tu, and, indicates that Nanda was worshipped much more elaborately even than the sons of Pandu by Vasudeva. Yeah, he's worshipped more elaborately even than the sons of Pandu by Vasudeva, because even when everyone else went away, Nanda Mahārāja did not leave for a long time. Vasudevon jatsotirya manoratha maharnavam suhrid vrita prita mana nandam aha kare sprishan. Having so easily crossed over the vast ocean of his ambition, Vasudeva felt fully satisfied. In the company of his many well-wishers, he took Nanda by the hand and addressed him as follows. Commentary. Crossing the great ocean of his desires to perform Vedic sacrifices, Vasudeva felt satisfied and spoke to Nanda. Shri Vasudeva Uvacha Bhratar Isha Krita Pasho Nrinam Ya Sneha Sankita Tam Tustya Jam Aham Manye Shuranam Apiyoginam. Shri Vasudeva said, "My dear brother, God himself has tied the knot called affection, which tightly binds human beings together. It seems to me that even the great heroes and mystics find it very difficult to free themselves from it." Commentary. Vasudeva said, "I think these bonds of affection are hard to cut for warriors by their strength and for yogis by their knowledge." The extra verb durbhidam should be added. The meaning is, throughout the day and night, the two of you are tightly bound by the ropes of affection for my sons. Asmasva pratikalpeyam yat kritan geshu sattamai maitrarpita phala chapi na nivarteta karhichit. Indeed, the Supreme Lord must have created the bonds of affection, for such exalted saints as you have never stopped showing matchless friendship toward us ingrates, although it has never been properly reciprocated. What's ingrates mean? That is an ungrateful person. Commentary. Vasudeva said, "This friendship which has been offered by such exalted saints as you, by bestowing the great treasure of firm affection for Ram and Krishna, is incomparable and will certainly never cease. Who are we? We are ungrateful, not acknowledging the help you rendered to us. Hence, how can we, who are so wicked, be so shameless to even speak this to you, who are the most saintly? Pragakalpachcha kushalam bratarno nacharamahi adhuna Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam na pasyamas pura sata. Previously, dear brother, we did nothing to benefit you because we were unable to. Yet even now that you are present before us, our eyes are so blinded by the intoxication of mere material good fortune that we continue to ignore you. Commentary. In this verse, Vasudeva explains his failure to show gratitude. Vasudeva said, previously, because of being imprisoned by Kamsa, I did nothing to help you. Now, even though Kamsa has been killed and I am free, still, due to the intoxication of wealth, I continue to ignore you. Mahārāja shir abhut pungsa shreyas kamasya manada swajanan utabandhunva na pashyati yayandadrik. O most respectful one, may a person who wants the highest benefit in life never gain kingly opulence, for it leaves him blind to the needs of his own family and friends. Commentary. A person should not obtain wealth in a kingdom. The addition of a and abhut is poetic license. Submerging Nanda in the ocean of supreme humility by his praises, Vasudeva also became submerged in humility, as indicated by his words. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Let me just check everything's running okay. Haribo Mitra Vinda Didi. Shri Shuka Uvacha. Evam so hrida shaitilya chitta anakadundubhi ruroda tatkritam maitrim smaran ashu vilochana. Shri Shukadev Gosvāmī said, his heart softened by feelings of intimate sympathy, Vasudeva wept. His eyes brimmed with tears as he remembered the friendship Nanda had shown him. Nandastu satyupriya krit premna govinda ramayo adyashva iti ma sangstrin yadubir manito vasat. And on his part, Nanda was also full of affection for his friend Vasudeva. Thus, during the following days, Nanda would repeatedly announce, I will be leaving later today, and I will be leaving tomorrow. But out of love for Krishna and Balaram, he remains there for 3 more months, honored by all the yadus. Wow, 3 months. That's a really long time. Commentary. Tu indicates Nanda's different intention. Vasudeva's intention was different from Nanda's. The phrase adyashva, today, tomorrow, means that even after settling in the night that he would leave first thing in the morning after breaking Vasudeva's misconception that Krishna was his son, Nanda would then decide, I'll go later today. And then when the afternoon came, he would say, I'll just stay until tomorrow and then take my son and go back to Vraj. Whoa! So why was he staying? He was trying to break Vasudeva's misconception that Krishna was his son. And then his plan was to take Krishna back and go back to Vraj. Nanda Mahārāja was procrastinating due to his affection for Vasudeva. He did not want to break his heart. Thus, Nanda Mahārāja stayed there for 3 months, sharing his ecstatic love with Krishna and Balaram. Tata kamai puryamana savraja sahabandhava parardhya bharanakshoma nana narghya parichadai Vasudevo grasenabhyam krishnodhava baladivi Dattam adaya paribarham yapito yadubiryayo. Then, after Vasudeva, Krishna, Uddhava, Balaram, and others had fulfilled his desires and presented him with precious ornaments, fine linen, and varieties of priceless household furnishings, Nanda Maharaj accepted all these gifts and took his leave. Seen off by all the Yadus, he departed with his family members and the residents of Vraj. Commentary. Then, after 3 months, Vrajaraj Nanda declared, O Krishna, for one drop of the perspiration from your divine face, I am ready to give up millions of lives. Let us leave now for Vraj. I cannot stay here any longer. Nanda continued, My dear friend Vasudev, please send Krishna off to Vraj. O King Ugrasen, please order my dear friend to do this. Otherwise, before your very eyes, we will give up our lives in this holy place of Kurukshetra by drowning ourselves in Parshurama's lake. We did not come here on the occasion of the solar eclipse to gain some pious credits. Rather, we Vrajvasis came here with the conviction in our hearts that if we cannot get Krishna back, we will die. Hearing these desperate words from Nanda, Vasudeva and the others tried to pacify him with costly jewelry and valuable gifts. Well versed in the arts of diplomacy, Vasudeva consulted with his most trustworthy friends and then satisfied Nanda by telling him, My dearest friend, O Vrajaraj, it is true that none of you can live without Krishna. And how can we allow you to kill yourselves? Therefore, by all means, I must send Krishna back to Vraj. I will do so right after we accompany him and his relatives, helpless wives and friends back to Dwarka. Then the very next day, without obstructing him in any way, I will let Krishna leave for Vraj at an auspicious time of the day. This I swear to you 1,000 times over. After all, how can we, who came here with Krishna, go home without him? People say about us, You are vastly learned in all these matters, so please forgive this offense of mine for making this request of you. Ugrasen said, O King of Vraj, I vouch for the surety of this. I solemnly vow to send Krishna back to Vraj even if I have to do it by force. Then Krishna, accompanied by Uddhav and Balaram, spoke to Nanda in private. Krishna said, Dear father, if I go directly to Vraj today, leaving aside all these Vrishnis, they will die from the pain of separation from me. Then thousands of enemies stronger than Keshi and Arishta will kill these kings. Being omniscient, I know my own future. Please listen while I describe it to you. After returning to Dwarka, I will receive an invitation from Yudhishthir and go to Indraprastha to participate in his Rajasuya sacrifice. There I will kill Shishupal, after which I will again return to Dwarka and kill Shalva. Next, I will travel to a place just south of Mathura to save you by killing Dantavakra. I will then return to Vraj, see all my old friends, and again sit on your lap with great pleasure. Indeed, with great happiness, I will spend the rest of my life with you. The Creator has written this fate on my forehead, and it has been written on your foreheads that until the day I return, you must tolerate separation from me. Neither of our destinies can possibly be changed, so give up your stubbornness and return to Vraj. If in the meantime, you, my dear parents and my beloved friends, are distressed by the pain of separation from me, then whenever you wish to feed me some delicacy or play some game with me or simply see me, just close your eyes and I will appear before you to make all your difficulties insignificant and to fulfill all your desires. I promise you this, and the young friends of mine who I promise you this, and the young friends of mine whose lives I saved in a forest fire can vouch for it. Convinced by all these arguments that his son's happiness was of prime importance, Nanda told Vasudeva and the others, I agree, accepting the gifts which his friends offered him as they all shed incessant tears. Accepting the gifts which his friends offered him as they all shed incessant tears, Nanda Maharaj was seen off by a large army of Yadavas. This explanation has been given based on the two words kamai, desirable objects, and puryamana, satiated. These words would make no sense unless there was such an explanation of Nanda being completely satisfied. For Nanda and Yashoda, who could not believe at all that Krishna was the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, even if testified by Brahma or his sons and daughters, and for all material wealth and ornaments, were considered trifling in comparison to just the remembrance of the treasure of the happiness attained by touching the back of their finger to Krishna's chin. So for them, how would it be possible to satisfy them with millions of silks and valuable furnishings given by Vasudeva? For argument's sake, even if they were satisfied or could be satisfied, the text also mentions that not only Nanda and his wife, but all the inhabitants of Vraj, including the Gopas, Gopis, and all his friends were satisfied. If one were to make the bold supposition that Krishna's mother and father, and also all his beloved Gopis and Gopas, were satisfied simply by getting valuable ornaments, cloth, and jewels, and then went back to Vraj, we would be left with the conclusion that the prema of all the Vrajvasis must have disappeared. We should consider this matter in light of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which states that one characteristic of prema is ananya mamata, the unflinching sense of possessiveness towards one's beloved, wherein one is completely apathetic to other objects. Therefore, such an explanation must be rejected. Nanda gopascha gopyascha govinda charanam bhuje manakshiptam punar hartum anisha maturam yayu. Unable to withdraw their minds from Lord Govinda's lotus feet, where they had surrendered them, unable to withdraw their minds from Lord Govinda's feet, where they had surrendered them, Nanda and the cowherd men and women returned to Mathura. Bandhushu pratiyatseshu vrishnaya krishna devata vikshya pravrishamasannad yayurdvarat patim puna. Their relatives having thus departed, and seeing that the rainy season was approaching, the Vrishnis, whose only lord was Krishna, went back to Dwarka. Janebhya katayam chakru yadudeva mahotsavam yarasit tīrtha yatrayam suhrit sandarshanadikam. They told the people of the city about the festive sacrifices performed by Vasudeva, Lord of the Yadus, and about everything else that had happened during their pilgrimage, especially how they had met with all their loved ones. Thus ends the commentary on the 84th chapter of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. So tomorrow we will read chapter 85. Lord Krishna instructs Vasudeva and retrieves Devaki's sons. And you want to see how many chapters are left? Let's check this out. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Okay, we just finished this. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 chapters left in this 10th canto. All right. So now, Haribo Rukmini Didi. So now we're going to read from Srila Bhakti Ballabha Tirtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja's book. Let me just show you this book right here. Śrī Caitanya and His Associates. Yeah, and they just reprinted it last year, and it's a lot cheaper now. Before it was super expensive and heavy, and now it's very affordable. Actually, you can get it directly from Chaitanya Gaudiya Math for half the price. I think they're selling it close to printing price. I got this for 600 rupees. Haribol Ladini Shakti Didi. Alright, so I'll share my screen again and we'll read about Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Let's open this. Srila Narottama Das Thakur. Akumara Brahmachari Sārārtha-darśinī Bhāgavatottama Śrīla Narottama dāsa. Narottama Das was a brahmachari throughout his entire life. He visited all the places of pilgrimage. He was on the highest platform of devotional achievement. That's from the first chapter of Bhakti Ratnakara, verse 279. Narottama Das Thakur was Champak Manjari in Krishna Lila. Eternally assisting Rupa Manjari in service to Radha and Krishna, Champak Manjari had mercy on the conditioned souls of this earth and appeared as Narottama Thakur in the village of Keturi, about 12 miles from Rampur Boalia, in the Gopalpur subdivision of the Rajshahi district. This took place on the full moon day of the month of Magh, sometime around the middle of the 15th century of the Shaka era. Narottama was born on the Maghi Purnima. From that day on, he thrived and grew like the waxing moon. That's from Bhakti Ratnakara, first chapter 281. Narottama Thakur's father was Raja Krishnananda Datta, the Zamindar of the Gopalpur area. His mother's name was Narayani Devi. Raja Krishnananda had an elder brother, according to others' opinion, a younger brother, named Purushottama Datta, who had a son named Santosh Datta. In order to show that his associates can take in any caste, Lord Krishna had Narottama Thakur take birth in a Kayastha family. A Vaishnava is beyond the qualities of the material nature. In order to teach this to the world, the Lord had Haridas Thakur take birth in a Mlecha family. Anyone who considers a devotee in terms of his birth or race is destined for a hellish existence. Arche Vishnu Shiladir, Gurushu Naramatir, Vaishnave Jati Budir, Vishnur Va Vaishnavanam, Kalimalamatane Pad Tīrtem Buddhi, Shri Vishnu Namni, Mantre Sakala Kalushahe, Shabda Samanya Buddhir, Vishnu Sarveshwareshe, Taritara Samadhir, Yasya Va Narakisa. Anyone who considers the deity of Vishnu to be nothing but stone, the Guru to be an ordinary human being, or the Vaishnav to be a member of a particular caste or race, who takes the holy water which has washed Vishnu or Vaishnav's feet, and can destroy all the sins of the age of Kali to be ordinary water, who thinks that the name or mantra of Vishnu, which destroys all evils, is the same as any other sound, or who takes Vishnu to be same as anything other than him, that person suffers in a hellish existence. That's from the Padma Puran. From his early childhood, Narottama began to show signs of his future greatness. Everyone was amazed to see his great intelligence and devotional demeanor. He was constantly absorbed in meditation on the wonderful qualities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, and had not an iota of interest in the opulence of his father. The Lord and his associates appeared to him in his dreams. As from his eyes, Narottama would offer prayers of surrender to Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita, and the other associates. Finally, the Lord and his associates appeared to him in a dream and consoled him with kind words. That's from Bhakti Ratnakara, first chapter, 285 to 286. Mahaprabhu leaves praying behind for Narottama. According to the Prema Vilas, when Mahaprabhu passed through Kanar Natshala, as he was dancing ecstatically in Kirtan, he began to call out Narottama's name. When Nityananda Prabhu asked him why he was calling out this name, Mahaprabhu answered, My Lord, you do not own glories. On your way to Jagannath Puri, you shed tears out of divine love day after day. I managed to capture your divine love and save it. Now I wish to place it here by the Padmavati river in safekeeping for Narottam Das. Mahaprabhu then went to the place known as Kutubpur on the Padmavati river, where he bathed and sang and danced in ecstasy. He then called out to the river, "O Padmavati, take this love and keep it here in strict confidence. When Narottam comes and bathes here, I give it to him." Padmavati inquired, "How will I recognize him?" Mahaprabhu answered, "You will have no trouble recognizing Narottam, for as soon as he enters your waters, you will overflow." The place where Mahaprabhu placed Prem for Narottam Thakur's sake was later given the name Prem Toli. When Narottam Thakur was 12 years old, he had a dream in which Nityananda Prabhu told him to bathe in the Padmavati and take the Prem, which had been stored there for him. One day, he went to the Padmavati, and as soon as he put his foot in the water, the river started to overflow. The Padmavati then remembered Mahaprabhu's words and gave Narottam Thakur the Prem she had guarded for all that time. Narottam leaves home. Haribol Pajuna Prabhu and Mantramurti Mataji. Narottam leaves home. As soon as he experienced the ecstasies of Prem, Narottam Thakur's character, his appearance, and everything about him changed. His parents noticed the transformation and did everything they could to bring him back to his normal state, but failed. Having drunk the wine of divine ecstasy, Narottam had become intoxicated, and the bonds of family life could no longer hold him back. Narottam began to wonder how he could escape from his material entanglements. Finally, one day, his father and uncle were away on official business. When they were away on some official business, he practiced some deception on his mother and tricked his bodyguards so that they could leave his family for Vrindavan. He tricked his bodyguards so that he could leave his family for Vrindavan. This event took place on Kartik Purnima. Sounds like in many ways his story is very similar to Raghunath Das Goswami. Yeah? According to others, Narottam Thakur waited to go to Vrindavan until after the death of his father and handing over the responsibility for the zamindari to his cousin Santosh. Even though he was the son of a rich zamindar, in his desire to unite with the Lord, he was ready to abandon the pleasures of the body in a moment. Day and night, walking barefoot, crying, forgetting to eat and drink. Finally, he fell unconscious under a tree. A golden-skinned Brahmin came and offered him a cup of milk and said to him in a sweet voice, "O Narottam, drink this milk. Your cuts and bruises will go away. Your journey will be comfortable." After saying this, the Brahmin vanished, and the exhausted Narottam fell asleep. That night, he dreamt of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. The two Goswamis placed their hands on his chest and fed him the milk that Mahaprabhu himself had brought him. All of Narottam's fatigue disappeared. Narottam is initiated by Lokanath Goswami. The Prem Vilas also describes how Narottam Thakur took initiation from Lokanath Goswami in Vrindavan. Narottam Thakur was born on the full moon day of Magha. His renunciation took place on the full moon day of Kartik, and he was initiated by Lokanath Goswami on the day of Shravan. Ah, interesting. Everything's on the full moon. Okay, so we got that. He was born on full moon day of Magh, which is this month. Then he abandoned his family and his home and everything on the full moon day of Kartik, and he was initiated by Lokanath Goswami on the full moon day of Shravan. What month is Shravan? Anyways. Let me just check. I'm just curious. What month is does whatever. July. So it's in July or August. Okay. Lokanath Goswami is a direct disciple and personal associate of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, he was the first Gaudiya Vaishnava to be instructed by the Lord to go to Vrindavan, along with Bhugarbha Goswami. Lokanath Goswami set the standard for worship in a spirit of renunciation while in the holy Dham. He was a Vivikta. So Lokanath Goswami. So he was the first Goswami in Vrindavan, along with Bhugarbha Goswami, and he was a Vivikta Vaishnav, that is, a hermit who worships the Lord in solitude. In this spirit, he had vowed not to take any disciples. Narottama Das too made a vow to take initiation from no one other than Lokanath Goswami. Though he was a son of a Raja, Narottama Thakur's desire to receive Lokanath Goswami's mercy was so great that he went in the middle of every night to clean the place where Lokanath Goswami used as a toilet. He would also leave fine earth and water for him to clean himself afterwards. This is described as follows in the Prema Vilas. Narottama went to the place where the Goswami performed his bodily functions, did a special job of cleaning it. He sifted the earth to make very fine, clean earth, with which Lokanath Goswami could clean his hands. He would hide his coconut leaf broom and take it out each night to sweep the place clean, his heart filled with joy. All these things he did as a regular service. He considered himself to be fortunate to have this service and that it made his body worthwhile. He would hold the broom to his chest, repeating, "This is the power that will help me attain my Lord's lotus feet." As he said these words, he cried, and torrents of tears washed over his chest. Lokanath Goswami was astonished to see that the place was daily being kept clean and free from foul smell. He became curious to find out who was doing it. So one evening, he went and hid in the jungle, chanting japa the entire night in wait for the anonymous benefactor. At midnight, someone engaged in cleaning the place and asked him who he was. When he found out that Narottama, son of a king, was doing this task, he felt embarrassed and told him to desist. Narottama, however, immediately fell at Lokanath Goswami's feet and began to cry. When Lokanath Goswami saw Narottama Thakur's humility and pain, his resolve softened, and he finally gave him initiation. Thus, Narottama Thakur gave an outstanding example. He gave an outstanding example to the world of how one should serve one's spiritual master. Narottama went there and engaged in whatever service was necessary to his guru, performing it with great enthusiasm. Lokanath Goswami was pleased by Narottama's service and showed him the greatest mercy by initiating him in the mantra. That's from Bhakti Ratnakar, 1st chapter, verses 345 to 346. Without caring for his youth or his looks, he left home on the full moon day of the month of Kartik. After wandering throughout places, he finally came to Vrindavan, where he became Lokanath Goswami's disciple. On the auspicious day of Shravani Purnima, that's in July, Lokanath Goswami initiated Narottama Thakur. That's 1st chapter of Bhakti Ratnakar, verse 292 to 294. Narottama Das Thakur was thus Lokanath Goswami's one and only disciple. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, the founder of the worldwide Śrī Caitanya Math and Śrī Gaudiya Maths, demonstrated similar one-pointed faith in the service to the lotus feet of his spiritual master and perseverance and patience in order to attain his mercy. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, like Lokanath Goswami, had vowed to take no disciples. He refused Srila Prabhupada 3 times, but this did not break Prabhupada's will, his resolve. When Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj saw his humility and intense desire, he finally relented and gave him mantra diksha. Srila Prabhupada was Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj's only disciple. Oh, wow. Okay. Rukmini Didi said that Maghi Purnima is also the disappearance day of the mother of her Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, Srimati Rama Rangini Devi. Rama Rangini Devi. Wow. Rama Rangini Devi ki jai. After the disappearance of Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis, Sri Jiva Goswami became the Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya's undisputed acharya throughout Mathura, Bengal, and Odisha, and the chief of the universal court of the Vaishnavas at Vrindavan, the Vishva Vaishnav Raj Sabha. Srinivas, Narottama, and Dukhi Krishnadas all studied the scriptures under Jiva Goswami, receiving detailed personal instruction from him. Jiva Goswami gave them the titles of Acharya, Ṭhākura, and Shyamananda respectively. Narottama returns to Bengal. Jiva Goswami sent his 3 students to Bengal with the Vaishnav scriptures. Shri Jiva Goswami heard the news that the books had been stolen in Ban Vishnupur, and then later that they had been recovered by Srinivasacharya. This story has been told in the book in this book in the chapter on Srinivasacharya. Lokanath Goswami considered Narottam Thakur's previous life as a wealthy zamindar to be particularly suitable for preaching in his home area of northern Bengal, and thought that with his status he would be able to teach the standards of renounced devotional behavior. Out of compassion for that country's people, he ordered Narottam Thakur to return to his hometown of Keturi. Srinivasacharya was aware of Lokanath Goswami's intention, so when the books were stolen, he told Thakur to continue on his way to preach in Keturi and North Bengal. Srinivasacharya said, "Go quickly to Keturi and carry out Lokanath Prabhu's orders." That's Bhakti Ratnakar, chapter 7, verse 119. Oh, I don't know this word. And, oh God, let me look this up. Okay, and anchorite? Yeah, anchor it. That means a hermit, recluse, ascetic. Okay. So recluse devotees, Viviktanandis, being absorbed in the intimate service of the Lord on the transcendental platform, normally have no taste for engaging in any welfare activity, which brings only temporary succor to materialistic persons, bound by Maya and absorbed in their bodily identification. Let me just look at this one. Means they provide shelter and succor in times of need. Okay, so they provide shelter to materialistic persons bound by Maya and absorbed in their bodily identification. Materialistic welfare activities are considered to be of great value only when there is a misunderstanding about the real goal of life, service to Krishna. Lokanath Goswami taught the world through his disciple on the principle that a housewife teaches the daughter-in-law by instructing the daughter. Though Narottam Thakur himself was distraught with separation from his spiritual master, he nevertheless took his orders seriously and returned to Keturi, where he began preaching the doctrines of pure devotional service to the people in Bengal. Narottam Thakur's humility and sorrow were expressed in his prarthana. Oh, cool. I just sang this kirtan last night in Gurudev Samadhi. This is Hari Hari Kripa Kori Rako Nijapade. Aneka dukhera pore loye chile vrajapure kripa dora galaya bandhiya daiva maya balatkare kasaiya she dore bhava kupe dile kadariya puna jadi kripa kori e janar keshe dhori tani atulo ho vrajadhame তবে সে দেখালো না তো বাপরানা গেল কহে দিন দাস নারতামে তানিয়তুলোহ vrajadhame. After I had suffered for such a long time, you finally tied the rope of mercy around my neck and dragged me to Vrajadham. But now the forces of fate and illusion have loosened that rope, and I have been thrown back down the well of material existence. If you would only be merciful to me and grab me by the hair, pulling me back to Vrajadham, then everything will seem right once again. If not, Narottama says, my life is over. On Lokanath Goswami's orders, Narottama Thakur installed 6 sets of deities in his temple in Keturi: Shri Gauranga, Shri Vallabhikanta, Shri Vrajamohan, Shri Krishna, Shri Radhakant, and Shri Radharaman. The great festival which he held on that occasion is still remembered in the Vaishnava world. I wonder if there's no. Keturi deities, maybe. I just want to see a picture of all this here. Is that them? Yeah, Narottama Thakur. I guess that's all of them. Is that all of them? I don't actually know. Anyways, Narottama Thakur arrived in the land of Goda, Navadvip. He'd been ordered by Lokanath Goswami to establish the deity service of both Gauranga and Krishna, to serve the Vaishnavas, and to congregational chanting of the holy names. He immediately dedicated himself to carrying out these orders. First, he set about establishing service of 6 sets of beautiful deities whose names, taken together, bring joy to the hearts of the devotees. Gauranga Vallabhikanta Shri Krishna Vrajamoha Radharamana He Radhe Radhakanta Namostute. That's Bhakti Ratnakar 1, chapter 1, verses 422 to 46. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, those are 6 of deities. So I guess that's him. The great festival at Keturi. Prior to the Keturi Mahotsav, Narottama Das Thakur traveled throughout Bengal and Odisha, visiting various places where Mahaprabhu had performed his pastimes, meeting the Lord's associates and receiving their blessings. Amongst the places he visited were Udharan Datta's home in Saptagram, Kardaha, where he met Parameshwari Das Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu's Shaktis, Janava and Vasudha. And then Kanakul Krishnanagar, the home of Abhiram Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu's home in Nrsinghapur, the Shripats of Narahari Sarkar Thakur and Raghunandan Thakur in Shrikhanda, place Nityananda Prabhu in Ekachakra Dham, Jagannath Puri, Gopinath Acharya's home, Haridas Thakur's Samadhi Temple, Gadadhar Pandit's place, the Jagannath Temple and Gundicha Temple, and the Jagannath Vallabha Gardens, Rendra Sarovar, etc. Leaders of the Sun came to Keturi on the occasion of the festival organized by Narottam Das Thakur. A list of these have been given by Narahari Cakravartī in his books Bakar and Narottama Vilas. Okay, so here are the people. Shanava Devi, Parameshwari Das, Krishnadas Sarkela, Madhava Acharya, Raghupati Vaidya, Minaketam Ramdas, Murari Tanyadas, Gyanadas, Mahidara, Sri Shankar, Malak, Gorangadas, Nakadi, Krishnadas Damodar, Balaram Das, Sri Mukunda, Vrindavan Das Thakur, Raghunandan Thakur, and other devotees from Shrikhanda, Srinivas Pandit's brothers, Shripati and Srinidhi from Navadvip, Advaita Acharya's sons, Achyutananda, Gopala Mishra, and Krishna Mishra came from Shantipur, Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu devotees from Ambika Kalna. Srinivas Acharya acted as the officiating priest at the festival and performed the rituals installing the deities. In the Kirtan festival held by Narottam Thakur, Mahaprabhu and his associates appeared. Wow. Narottam Thakur, Mahaprabhu and his associates appeared. Who can describe the joy of that kirtan? Himself descended with all his associates in its midst, just like lightning in a conglomeration of rain clouds. That's Bhakti Ratnakar, chapter 10, verses 571 to 572. The kirtan was amazing. You could see Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya overcome with ecstasy, and Gaura Chandra encircled by the devotees. What wonderful compassion the Lord displayed on that day! Who can understand these wonderful pastimes? What blessings he poured on Narottam and Srinivas, for they and their companions found the fulfillment of all their desires. That's chapter 10, verses 605 to 607. And you can imagine manifested there, and all the devotees from Shantipur, they got to see Advaita Acharya again. His sons, Achyutananda, they got to be reunited with their father. And Janava Devi and Vasudha, they got to be reunited with Nityananda Prabhu. And Minakatam Ramdas, again, he got to dance with Nityananda Prabhu after they had disappeared. So you can't even, it's unimaginable how intense that kirtan was. All these associates being reunited with their most, dear lords. After the Keturi festival, Narottam Thakur's fame spread throughout the Vaishnav world. Prominent Brahmins like Ramakrishna Acharya and Ganga Narayan Chakravartī became his disciples. The internet stopped. Oh no, I guess it came back. All right, sorry about that. Narottam's preaching adventures. Narahari Chakravartī extensively described Narottam Thakur's activities in his Narottam Vilas. One can understand his outstanding accomplishment by reading this book. Some of these are given here. In Gopalpur village lived a Brahmin named Vipradas. He had a poisonous snake living in his wicker grain storage bin. When Narottam Thakur visited Vipradas's house, the snake vanished, and deities of Gaura and Vishnupriya appeared in its place. Gaur Sundar and his beloved Vishnupriya came out of the gola and climbed into Narottam's lap in the plain view of everyone. That's Bhakti Ratnakar, chapter 10, 2. That's so interesting. Everyone was quite amazed. These same deities are being served today in Gampila. A certain Smarta Brahman scholar blasphemed Narottama Ṭhākura, calling him a Shudra. The result of this offense was that he was attacked by leprosy. After suffering for some time, he was given a vision of the goddess in a dream. She told him to fall at Narottama Dasa's feet and beg for forgiveness. And it was only after he followed this advice that the Brahman was freed from his terrible disease. What goddess is that? Must be Kali? Anyways. Good. Hari Rama Acharya. Once again, I'm just seeing. Hari Rama Acharya and Ramakrishna Acharya, the sons of Śrīvanātha Acharya, were taking a goat and a buffalo to be offered as a sacrifice to the goddess on the order of their father. They met Narottama Ṭhākura and Ramachandra Kaviraj on the way and were attracted by their effulgent beauty. Narottama Ṭhākura advised the two young Brahmins to abandon the worship in the modes of passion and ignorance that entailed violence to animals and to worship the Supreme Lord without any desire. The brothers immediately let the goat and buffalo go, and they bathed in the Padmavati river. They then took initiation from Narottama Ṭhākura, dedicated their lives to the service of Lord Krishna and his devotees. Śrīvanātha Acharya became angry when he heard about this. He called a Smarta scholar from Mithila named Murari to come and defeat Narottama Ṭhākura's Vaishnava philosophy. However, Hari Rama and Ramakrishna were given divine blessings by their guru and were able to defeat every one of the Smarta's arguments with scriptural evidence. Defeated, Śrīvanātha Acharya went to pray to the goddess. She appeared to him that night in a dream and rebuked him for his enmity towards the Vaishnavas and told him to cease all such behavior. In the course of time, Ganga Narayan Cakravartī, Jagannath Acharya, and other well-known Brahmins started to become Nar's disciples. This caused the Smarta community, and out of jealousy, they went to complain to Raja Narottama is a Shudra who makes disciples of Brahmanas. He is using some kind of mystic powers or hypnotism to convert them. He should be stopped. After a discussion on the matter with Raja Narasingha, it was decided that a scholar named Rupa Narayan was to debate Narottama Ṭhākura. This Brahmin had won numerous debates of this sort and was known as a Mahadigvijayi. The Raja himself with Rupa Narayan toward the village of Keturi. Ramachandra Kaviraj and Ganga Narayan Cakravartī were upset to see the wicked intentions of the Raja and his Pandit. When they heard that the Raja and his entourage were resting overnight in Kumarpur village, they went in disguise as a potter and a pana seller and set up stalls in the village market. When the students of the Smarta Brahmins came to the market, Ramachandra and Ganga Narayan spoke with them in Sanskrit. I didn't know Ganga Narayan was one of them. That's so cool. Because Ganga Narayan is the Paratpar Guru of Srila Viśvanātha Chakravartī Ṭhākura, right? So the Brahmins were astounded that even ordinary stall keepers in the village were able to speak in Sanskrit. Ramachandra and Ganga Narayan began to debate with the Brahmins, defeating every Smarta argument that they put forward. The Raja and other Brahmanas were amazed to hear and personally there, only to be defeated in their arguments. Ramachandra Acharya and Ganga Narayan Acharya established the pure doctrine of devotional service. The Raja and his Digvijay Pandit were rendered speechless by the scholarship of the two ordinary stall keepers. When they heard that the two men were disciples of Narottama Das Ṭhākura, the king said to his Pandit, "If Narottama Ṭhākura's common disciples can defeat you in a debate, there's no need of going to see him." But once again, the goddess appeared to King Narasingha and Rupa Narayan and ordered them to go to Narottama Ṭhākura and pray for forgiveness for their offenses. The two of them did so and became devotees of Rama and Krishna. They became devotees of Radha and Krishna. Okay, the two songs by Narottama. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava Abhidhan, the following comments are found. Narottama Thakur's ashram was in a place called Bhajanatuli, about 2 miles from the capital city, Keturi. Narottama Thakur did through kirtan. He created an amazing melody of kirtan known as the Garanhati. He wrote 2 books, Prarthana and Prema Bhakti Chandrika, which are the very life of the devotees. He has written songs which are appropriate for every devotional mood, and this is what touches the devotees' hearts. These 2 books are so popular that they have been published countless times. Narottama Thakur's influence can be appreciated even in distant Manipur, where everyone agrees that the Vaishnava religion spread through his spiritual potency. His devotional songs are sung in every home throughout Manipur state. Srinivasacharya's disciple Ramachandra Kaviraj was Narottama Thakur's dearest companion. Narottama Thakur received news of Ramachandra Kaviraj's disappearance first. Not long afterwards, he heard of Srinivasacharya's disappearance. Then he wrote the following song in the mood of separation. It is capable of melting even a stone-like heart. Jayanilo prema dana karuna prachur heno prabhu kota gela yacharya Thakur kaha mora swarup rupa kaha sanatan kaha dāsa raghunata patita pavan kaha mora bhatta yuga kaha kaviraja eka kale kota gela gora nataraj pashane kutibo matha anale poshivo Gauranga gunera nidhi kotha gele pabo se saba sangir sange je koilo vilasa se sanga napaya kande Narottama dāsa. Where has Acharya Thakur, who out of great mercy for the world brought the wealth of where has Acharya Thakur, who out of great mercy for the world brought the wealth of love, gone? That's referring to Srinivasacharya, right? Yeah. Where are my Swarup and Rupa? Where are my Swarup and Rupa? Where is Sanatan? Where has Raghunath Das, the deliverer of the most fallen, gone? Where are Raghunath Labhata? Where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where has the king of dancers, Lord Gauranga, suddenly disappeared to? I will beat my head against the rocks or enter the flames. But where can I go to find that ocean of virtue, Gauranga? Deprived of the association of all those companions of the Lord, Narottama Das can do nothing but cry. Narottama Das Thakur was the topmost of the followers of Rupa Gosvāmī, Mahaprabhu's close associate. His unparalleled devotion to Rupa Gosvāmī can be recognized from the following song. Shri Rupa Manjari Para, She Mora Sampada, She Mora Bhajana Pujana, She Mora Prana Dhana, She Mora Yabharana, She Mora Jivanir Jivana, She Mora Rasa Nidhi, She Mora Vancha Siddhi, She Mora Vedhera Dharama, She Vrata She Tapa, She Mora Mantra Japa, She Mora Dharama Karama, Anukula Habe Vidhi, She Pade Hoibe Siddhi. Rakibo tui nayane. Sorry. Sherupa madhuri rashi prana kuvalaya shashi prapulita habe nishi dine tuaya darshanayahi karale jalo dehi chiradina tapita jivana ha prabhu karo daya deho more pada chaya Narottama lo sharana Narottama lo sharana. Shri Rupa Manjari's lotus feet are my treasure. They are my object of worship. They are my devotional service. They are the wealth of my life. They are my ornament. They are the life of my life. They are my ocean of nectar. They are the perfection of my desire. They are my Vedic precepts. They are my vow. They are my austerity. They are the mantra that I chant. They are my religious duty. When Providence is kind to me, I will find perfection by attaining Shri Rupa Manjari's feet, and I will be able to behold them with my own eyes. The abundant sweet beauty of her lotus feet will shine like the moon upon the lily of my heart, causing it to bloom in jubilation day and night. The snake of your absence has burned up my body with its poison. I have suffered this pain for so long. O my master, be merciful to me. Give me the shade of your feet, for I, Narottama, seek refuge there. All right, so this chapter ends with the Narottama Ashtaka. Let me just see if... Yeah, so shall we sing that, the Narottama Ashtaka, and then we can end for now. It's been a very long reading today, almost 1.5 hours already, oh my God. Anyways, I'm gonna, if any of you need to go, don't hesitate. But yeah, I'm gonna sing this Narottama Ashtaka. Maybe first let's read the translation, and then we can sing it. I can get my mridanga, we can play. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Das Ṭhākura, the glorious follower of Gauranga, who completely destroys the darkness of the living entities at its root with the nectarian rays of Krishna's holy name, which emanate from his moon-like face. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, who lights up every direction with the effulgence of his teeth, revealed as he laughs out of joy. So he lights up every direction with the effulgence of his teeth, revealed as he laughs out of the joy of Harinam Sankirtan, and is bathed in torrents of tears and perspiration out of divine love. Wow, that's such a beautiful description. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, whose body is covered with horripilation, and whose lotus feet dance enchantingly, being set into motion as soon as he hears the sweet sound of the mridanga. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura. One second, I have to sneeze. Okay, I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, whose fame has spread through the songs he has written, and whose dance and song, indeed, whose very action and kirtan amazes even the most proficient and brings shame to the Gandharvas. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, who can be seen only by one who has unlimited good fortune, and whose figure is decorated with the dust that covers it as he falls to the ground unconscious in divine ecstasy. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, who established almshouses of mercy everywhere, causing every person's desires, other than those for service to Krishna, to be uprooted. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, whose devotional faith is like a line scratched in a stone, whose touch is like that of the philosopher's stone that fulfills all desires, and whose every word is as authoritative as that of the Veda. I offer my repeated obeisances to Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura, who forever appears to the fortunate learned scholars of transcendental knowledge as devotion itself incarnate, or as the embodiment of the essence of renunciation is in this mortal world. So he appears to the fortunate learned scholars of transcendental knowledge as devotion itself incarnate, or the embodiment of the essence of renunciation. Srila Narottama Das Ṭhākura performs the pastimes of disappearance on the Krishna Panchami in the month of Kartik. Okay, so we'll sing this and we'll end. I'm just going to get my mridanga. I've never sung this before. Shri Krishna Namamrita Varshivaktra Chandra Prabhadvastatamo Paraya Gauranga Devanucharaya Tasmai Namo Namo Śrīla Narottamaya Sankirtanananda Jamandahasya Danta Dyuti Dotita Dinmukhaya Svedashrudara Snapitaya Tasmai Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Gandharva Garva Kshapana Svalasya Vismapita Sheshakriti Vrajaya Swasrishta Gana Pratitaya Tasmai Namo Namo Śrīla Narottamaya Ananda Murchavani Pata Bhata Doli Bharalankrita Vigrahaya Yadarshana Bhaya Bharena Tasmai Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Stale Stale Yasya Kripa Prapabi Krishnanya Trishna Jana Samhatinam Anirmulita Eva Bhavanti Tasma Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Yar Bhakti Nishta Balareki Keva Sparsha Puna Sparsha Mani Vayasya Pramanyam Apramanyam Evam Shruti Vadyadiyam Tasmai Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Murtaiva Bhakti Kemayam Kemeshta Vairagya Sarastanu Mandriloke Sambhavyateya Kriti Bisadaiva Tasmai Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Api Supar Richard Api oops oh, we finished it. Nama Tasmai Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Namo Nama Śrīla Narottamaya Jaya Narottama Ṭhākura Narottama Ṭhākura Narottama Jaya Narottama Ṭhākura Narottama Ṭhākura Narottama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki Jai, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Shila Gurudeva ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Mahā-Bhagavat Shila Gorkisharas Babaji Mahārāja ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shila Baldev Vijabhushan Prabhu ki Jai. Shila Viśvanātha Cakravartī Ṭhākura ki Jai. Shri Narottama Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai ki Jai. Shila Narottama Das Ṭhākura ki Jai. Shri Shila Krishnadas Kaviraj Gosvāmī Pad ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Patra Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Patadash Raghunath Sharda Gosvāmī Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Shila Haridas Ṭhākura ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Mahārāja ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki Jai. Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupa Shishimar Bhakti Ballabha Tīrtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Shri Narottama Das Ṭhākura ki Jai. Tvadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyaya Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Satyavataya Namo Namaha. Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Keturi Gram ki Jai. Haribo Bhavatarani Mataji. Narottama Das Ṭhākura ki Jai. Alright, everybody. So see you all tomorrow for chapter 85 of the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Lord Krishna instructs Vasudeva and retrieves Devaki's sons. Haribol, everybody. Jai Shri Radhe.